Howdy folks, TJ here. Christmas past. Let's chat about your and my and everyone's Christmas past. So post down below, and Christmas past, what am I meaning? Some things that you remember as a kid when you received or purchased your first video game system back in the 1970s in my case. Maybe your case is different. So whatever system it may be. Now, I'm not talking about the Power Box 5s and the Xboxes and all that. This is retro. We're talking about solely, let's concentrate on, no, I don't want to say only the main four platforms, because there was Atari 2600, Odyssey 2, and before those there were Pong and other stuff, but let's stick to the program here. Atari 2600, Odyssey 2, Intellivision, and ColecoVision. Those were the four main ones. Now, yes, before that and after that, there were some others. I don't want to include Nintendo in on this. Nothing against Nintendo, but Nintendo really didn't kick in until later. We're talking about, let's stick to the 70s. Yes, this is going to be a little bit biased. It was a different time. It was strictly a different time in the 70s because everything was fresh and new. By the time the Nintendos came out, it was a little different. We had already had some video game systems out, so we had a flavor of what was going on. Before the Atari 2600 and the Odyssey 2s and all that, it was all fresh and new, so let's stick to those four. If you're part of the Nintendo generation, fine, you can post down below, and I'm sure it was as personal and beautiful to you as ours, Odyssey 2 for me was for me, but I'm stepping back in time. So for me, Odyssey 2, I received it as a gift from my parents. I'm thinking 1976, 77 Christmas, one of those two. Whenever it first came out that year, I got it. So was it 76 or 77? I forget. It was in the 70s. That happened in the 70s. And some people forget what happened in the 70s. Now, this video is not about the Odyssey 2 specifically, but my experience going to the store afterwards to buy my first Odyssey 2 games, because from remembrance, what came with my Odyssey 2 was this. And actually, I enjoyed the frackin' frick out of this because I liked Speedway. To my remembrance, and I haven't played this, and I got some hair on my glasses. I just had to pick up my cats and stick them upstairs. Speedway was just a simple left-right type of car racing game, but I liked it. And it was my first. This also had Spin Out and Crypto Logic. I don't remember Crypto Logic, I'm sorry to say. My stuff was more auto racing and golf and stuff like that. So yeah, this came with it, and it gave my taste buds a little taste. Yes, I enjoyed it, but I needed to go out and buy my first Odyssey 2 game. Now, I had a paper route as a kid. And in some of my stories, you learn about me buying my first Atari 800 in 1980 using my paper route money. That also happened earlier. Now, my parents, I'm sure, did help. They may have bought me one and I had to buy the other. It's foggy. Again, a lot in the 70s is foggy, but two games come to mind. If you're an Odyssey 2 kid like me, Casey Munchkin was a must-have. And then there was this new thing-dangled different game. It wasn't like the Atari 2600. It had a board game and a cartridge, and you melded them together, and that was called, the first one I purchased, The Quest for the Rings. I haven't played this yet, and maybe sometime. This is an elaborate game, so this will be one that I have to spend a lot of time and reading and playing with you together. But I went out to a store. I was in Livermore, California as a kid. And then I seem to remember there was a Magnavox TV store in Pleasanton. My mom drove me there. Not my dad, but my mom did. And we went to this Magnavox Odyssey store. Well, no, Magnavox store. It was a TV store. They sold Odyssey 2. And I don't remember if I purchased both of these at the same time or I purchased one first and then the other later. Again, my mind's foggy. But I'm pretty sure I purchased this one first. K.C. Munchkin. Everybody was in the Pac-Man fever. And in my opinion, and in many, that the K.C. Munchkin version of a Pac-Man-y kind of game was far superior to the Pac-Man that was on the 2600. Not comparable to the version at the arcades. That was different. But for your home based gaming system. Casey Munchkin was the bomb. So I'm pretty sure I purchased this one myself. You know why? Because it was cheaper than this one. I seem to remember this game like $100, $99. Is there any price stickers on this? I don't. Some of this stuff was in a bulk buy. None of these have stickers. These are all in pretty good shape. I'm pretty sure I purchased this myself. I seem to remember either $49, $59, or $69 for Casey Munchkin. If I'm wrong, post below. What were the prices for these games in let's say 77? Because that's when the Odyssey 2 was really for surely out. So I purchased this one, had a blast, and then the Quest for the Rings. I mean, what kid didn't like D&D back in the 1970s? Maybe if you weren't a nerd, you didn't. But I was a nerdly kid. But I also shot shotguns and shot rifles. So I was a nerd, but I was also an outdoorsy nerd because my brothers were hunters. And they taught me how to shoot my first shotgun. And so we would go out hunting real time and then come back and use guns and stuff on video games, at least for me. Quest for the Rings. I'm not going to unbox this. This is a reminiscence story. You've seen me do a video on Casey Munchkin, a complete walk around and all that. You know that it's a Pac-Man clone. And in fact, I think there were some legal squabbles that later on didn't allow Magnavox to sell this game anymore or do something because Atari's, it's too close to ours. Well, too close, it was far superior. It was better. Say it right. I was stumbling for words. Quest for the Rings was every D&D kid's fantasy. This was an elaborate game. I'll just open the top so you can see what I'm talking about. But there is just look. When you open this, the cartridge cover is gold. You have this big old picture in here of a dragon and all sorts of things. Now, let me see if I can gently take this out because I want to get to a thing inside. Let me put this over on my O2. You see I got my O2 behind me? I'm going to dust her off and get ready because the holidays are coming up. I'm getting in the spirit of my Odyssey 2 again, and I want to play it. Let me pop these out. So not only is the box kick-ass, it came with a gold manual. I mean, this thing is beautiful. And it came with a overlay for your Odyssey 2. Why did TJ want the Odyssey 2 and not the 2600? Because it had a keyboard. And I was thinking I'd do computer stuff with it in a novice kind of way. But it was my learning. It was my stepping stone to becoming a computer nerd. So it had this cool little overlay for that. And then it had this board. Now, I'm going to open this slowly because this thing's going to probably creak as I open it. Because it hasn't been open in a long time. Oh, did you hear that? That's like me waking up in the morning. Oh, my bones. Which direction does... Oh, it opened. Thank God. So on here, let me see if I can put it... There's a big map. I'm going to have to put it back here so you can probably see everything. There is a board, a game-playing board, that there's pieces in here that you put on the board, and then when you get to a place, you have a battle on your Odyssey 2, and you go to that specific thing, and so it's a board game and video game at the same time. Bitchin'. Totally cool idea. So I remember me and my brother, I think Brian more than Ed, played some of the video games with me. And we did a little battling of the dragons, and it was such a fun time. 1970s bitchin'. So those are my memories, not of the Odyssey 2 specifically, but two games that I went out and purchased afterwards. It probably was after Christmas, because I got it for Christmas. Went to this TV store. Believe it or not, they had TV stores back in the olden days that strictly sold basically TVs. Not like a Best Buy or anything that have all this other stuff. It was a TV store or anything for that brand like Magnavox. But they sold other stuff. I think Zenith and whatever. But I went to the store, purchased my first two games. What a great memory for me. What's your memory? If you're did you start out with an actual gaming console? Did you start out with an actual computer? I started with a gaming console, Odyssey 2, which was kind of a little bit of a computer because, believe it or not, there is a computer cartridge for it, and you can make a quick, 10 go to 20 kind of thing. So it started the wheels are turning that I can make my own games eventually. I moved on, obviously, from it, and I went to an Atari 800 because it was a real computer, and the rest is history. But what's your story? 2600, ColecoVision, Intellivision, some other brand, whatever it is, post your notes down below. I'm not against the newer Nintendos or anything like that, but my spirit and heart is in the 1970s, when everything was fresh and brand new. Early 80s still was pretty vibrant. As the 80s went on, not saying the newer stuff didn't blow our older stuff away, but it was a little bit different time. The video game world was already out for playing at home. So just getting a Nintendo, even though far superior graphics-wise and everything, was just a little bit different, at least for me personally. But for you, if that's what you grew up on, it's probably magical, which is a wonderful thing. So post your stories down below. That's it. My little spiel on my post-holiday first purchases for my Odyssey 2 game system. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Now I'm going to go kick some ass on dragons. It's been years since I played that game.